Hello, hello, hello. Gotta check my, let me check my feedback. Um, Let me see how it sounds. Sounds pretty good. So, how is everyone doing today? Um, Getting Twitch started. Okay. Okay, so today on the stream, we've got, oh, shoot, we've got some Brittany Simon stuff, and now my tablet decides it wants to go off. Anyway, we've got some Brittany Simon stuff. We've got some, I gotta get some water. Wait a second. Okay, back. We've got some Brittany Simon stuff. We've got some Abba and Preach stuff. We've got some dating news stuff. And then we'll just take it from there, see what we want to do. How are y'all doing today? If I even got anybody. Is anybody out there? Um, so, yeah. Oh, let me, let me tweet. Let me tweet. That might help, that might help a little bit. Um, okay, so yeah. Anyway, um, let me bomb the Discords. Let me see if there's no promo channel here. Yes, I need to figure out how to do all of this. Self promo. There. I gotta turn it into a script or something. So that it can. Be done in quicker time than this. Jeez. Let's see. De-dum, 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 de-dum. Okay, we're still. Let's see. No self promo there. I try to respect people's discords, and if they don't have a self promo channel, I don't. What? Huh? What? Huh? Why can I no post in? Gotta come back to that. There's self promo there. Cherry. Let's see. No self promo there. What's spamming? That's for. What is it? Jeez. Okay. No, 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 no. Yeah. Let's see. He's gotta have a self promo. Yeah. There. Sheesh. I need to learn how to make that stuff easier. What is, what is this? Okay. This is the self promo channel here. Do they have self promo over here? Doesn't look like they do. Yeah, okay, good. Wow. Okay. So here we. So, what we're going to talk about today is, well, what we're going to see about today is Brittany Simon read The Fresh and Fit book, right? By Myron Gaines about women deserve less or whatever. I haven't read it. I looked through the video, and this is like sort of a reaction on her take. That's going to be the first thing we hit. Then we're going to look at Aberrant Preach. After that, there's a new social experiment that's going on in reference to the dating world. But it's in real life. Oh no, real life? Yes, it's in real life. Do people even have real life anymore? Are we all just drones and automatons who don't have time to play the dating game? I don't know. It doesn't really matter though, because, we'll get into that, but, stretching. There's nothing like a good stretch. I mean, you can't beat it. So, yeah. Anyway, since no one's here at the moment, we're just going to... Wait, what's all those? I don't care about all those notifications. View all. Okay. There. I hate... You know what I really... You need to simmer down too. That's the cell phone. It just stopped like getting bombarded like an hour ago with texts from various people and places in my life. And it's crazy. I don't know if y'all can even hear it. But there's times when it'll be like dead. Generally like lunchtime because everybody's busy stuffing their face. Then, early morning it doesn't really go off unless there's like an emergency. But like there's periods where it's just ding 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 ding, and like I look at the phone and I'm like, do I even want to look at what the notifications are? Because I time my screen out. Everybody should. Saves your screen, saves battery. Anyway, I time my screen out so that and I'm like, okay, depending on what it is, we'll check. So I turn the screen on and my lock screen is set to display like the latest notifications. And inevitably, like, the icons have run off the screen, so I gotta open it up. And then I look at what has dots and what doesn't. The dots always get me that have like a number like, you gotta pay attention to this. Okay, so then I look at messages, and inevitably there's like 7 messages. And I'm like, ah. So then I like pull down the notification drawer. And I'm like, this is, I like do the preview of messages. So, because a lot of people like to hit me with read receipts, which, I mean, is sort of based because I'm one of those people like, if I don't want to really deal with you, I'm not going to. So people have learned to do read receipts. And it's good sometimes because it forces me. I'm bad, like, if I look at it and I don't think it's, like, important at the moment, I'll just clear all my notifications so all the numbers go away. And then I'm like, forget about it. I'm on something else and I forget about replying. Like, this girl thought I ghosted her because I didn't reply to her message because I forgot about it. and other messages buried it. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sorry. Da, 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 da. And she's like, why didn't you text me back? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I just get hit with so many messages. Like, my mom, business, pleasure, all that. Like hanging out with the boys, which I don't do that a lot anymore. It's like it was cooler back in the day, but I'm not trying to go out and like do anything other than something that I want to. Like I'll go fishing, I'll go camping, um, but like I'm not trying to be out in the streets or whatever. It's I did that when I was younger. Made some good life memories, bad life memories, and decisions, and it's essentially like, yeah, I'm trying to stay home now. Done did too much. So, like, anyway, what was I talking about before I got off on that? Okay, yeah, so there's a new social experiment going on with some kind of ring. We'll get into that and what my thoughts are on it. But anyway, Mrs. Brittany Simon, I'll inform y'all for those that don't know. Um, she has two philosophies. One is the levels philosophy, which I can kind of relate to, but I think she's too simplistic in it. And we'll go over that and review that later on. And there's the bubbles philosophy, which I can really sort of relate to. I can see that being more of a philosophy than the levels philosophy as far as how true it is. Because, well, we'll get into that. The bubbles philosophy is about, the levels philosophy is about levels of introspection and awareness, and the bubbles philosophy is like, what groups do you belong to and how do they shape your worldview? Okay, anyway, yeah, she generally does life advice and all that. And it's she sort of has it's almost culty, but not quite. But it is. Like, she gives that guru sort of vibe. And there's nothing wrong with being a guru. If that's your space, that's your space. Okay, so like, okay, take us today, the average person today. If you put them back, like, with all the knowledge they have today, if you time traveled them back even 20 or 30 years, they'd be a goddamn guru, right? And it's simply because we've learned more. Okay, if you took a TV and you put it back in the early 1900s, other than the fact that it wouldn't work, if you knew the technology to like build it all out, right? Like the whole supporting infrastructure and all that, you'd be a god. You'd be considered a god, right? Take a smartphone back and know how to get it. You'd be a god. Of course, that would mess up the space-time continuum, and we'd probably like nuke ourselves off the face of the earth. Anyway, in Roblox, disavow, disavow. So yeah, that's her whole thing, and she read the Fresh and Fit book. They're men in the manosphere, and she's got a couple of like reductive takes in there, but overall, she sort of agrees with it because the thumbnail itself was like is the red pill just feminism for men? And I'm of the basis that parts of the manosphere are trying to do the same thing that feminism did for men. I mean, feminism did for women. Parts of the manosphere are trying to do that for men. But those are the ones that are like quiet and not paid attention to, because it's my philosophy that like people generally don't pay attention to the more moderate of any movement or whatever. They pay attention to the extremes because the extremes are always the loudest, they're always the most publicized. So, with that, and wow, my sound is booming. Okay, with that taken into consideration, oh, I turned it down too low. Let me get this. I'm gonna try and make it so that I'm roughly at the top of top, 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 top. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good right there. Yeah, that's good right there. Okay, so K, K, K. Gotta say the hard sounds to find out where your mic levels are. K, 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 K. Okay, okay, yeah. Ooh. Okay, so you see my thing is going off here on the left. Let's see who's not working. Who is not working? Who is not working? Okay, who's getting all their ooh, it looks like Cole is getting decimated. Maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Who's using what? They're running out of coal. These silly billies. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'm gonna burn that. That's not anything I bought. It's just I don't whale on games, generally speaking. Like I'll occasionally drop a couple of bucks here and there, but I don't go big fish on them. Okay. Yeah, I don't go big fish on. And there's that, and there's that. And they want to collect that many and upgrade that to that. And upgrade that to that. And I'm thinking that we can take one of these away, maybe even two. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good thing. Okay, and we can put it. Do we want to put it right there? No, we want to put it right there. And since Cole was having problems, we'll put it there just to make sure that Cole doesn't have any more problems. This is Frozen City, I believe is the name of the game. And it's a pretty okay game. It's on mobile. I'm playing it on BlueStacks right now. Um, wait, where is that? Don't tell me it decided it wanted it. Yeah, it crashed. Ooh, jeez. Okay, come on. And BlueStacks will do that sometimes. BlueStacks will crash. which, I mean, it happens. Um, it's a emulator. So, anyway, we're about to get into the Brittany Simon thing. And while we do that, ooh, had a network reset. That was sort of bad. Had a lag bump, lag spike. Okay, so I'll be, of course, wait, I've got to set up the speed on this to be quicker because I don't want to get content claimed. Playback speed 1.25. I don't want to get flagged by the algorithm. So there's going to be a point where Sneeko appears in the video, so I'm just going to have to black that part out. Okay, so that'll happen on my side. Alright.
I read Why Women Deserve Less, so you don't have to. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany Simon. In today's video, we are exploring the book Why Women Deserve Less from Myron Gaines, who is the co-host of Fresh and Fit. Before I jump in, I am drinking a Fey tea today. Hello, Miss Ma'am. It has chamomile, jasmine flowers, red rose petals, and calendula flowers, and it is delicious as per usual. Now, before I fully jump in, I am going to preface this because I don't know why you're watching me. I don't know what audience you're coming from. I don't know what bubble you exist in, but let me explain really fast. So I have been exploring different bubbles in the manosphere for the last year or so, maybe a little longer, and I'm coming to the end of it. I've had fun exploring it. It's been interesting. I've learned a lot, but I think now it's time to move on to different bubbles. But before I leave this one, I think this is the greatest way to end sort of my relationship with the manosphere. Now, that's not to say that I'm not open to talking to Myron in the future. It's just that I'm not going to learn anything more from watching the manosphere.
Okay, so this is. So apparently she's been, like, paying attention to the manosphere according to her accounts for the past year. And she feels like she learned everything she can from it. So, by the way, this isn't a sponsored video. Not sponsored. Okay, so anyway, her thing is she tries to integrate knowledge in her, I guess you would call, seeking of enlightenment. So, I mean, but she seems to always be open to conversation in certain instances, probably all instances. Optically, a couple of times she hasn't come across that way, but that's just people expressing themselves in a way. Most likely, that's just her expressing herself in a way that other people can't uh, understand. So, yeah, my own experience with the Manosphere, I was there in the beginning of it. Like, it started out as men on forums trying to figure out how to deal with what's this? What is that? Why are there people that are not assigned? What am I missing here? What am I missing here? Maybe is it the oil well engineer? No, we don't want that. We want the coal miner. Yeah. Okay. So it started out as in my walk through it. It started out as this like, how do I deal with getting a divorce and the system totally screwed me over when she cheated? That was a lot of it. Like, how is that fair? So me myself, I've never been married, so I couldn't be divorced, but like I had like advice that I would give these people. And it was from my viewpoint of outside looking in on these situations. And um, then there was like the pickup artist community that went in, and then they got like shouted down for being manipulative or whatever. Then there was the MRAs, and they were shouted down like really quick because they were like saying, okay, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, this isn't fair. If you want us to accept what you're putting out there, then um, you need to help us out on this respect, right? And a lot of people don't like that dialogue tree because it's like, well, mainly feminists don't, because it is their feeling. I would imagine a lot of more radical feminists don't, because it is their feeling. I imagine. What do I have? Do I have something? Okay, no, I don't have any of that. We need to just talk about women's issues because women are still oppressed, which I don't see women as still being oppressed. I feel like each has their benefit. Being one or the other, you have your benefits and your drawbacks to being that way. Jeez, they want a level 10 on furnace. I've got to do, yeah, one more level. 10,000 a minute. How many am I producing every 5 seconds? Okay, I'm fine. I can put that up to level 10. How long is it going to take? It says it's going to take 15 minutes to upgrade. This is definitely one of them games where they get you to microtransaction in order to speed stuff up. You can go through the game without putting money on the game. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. And I honestly feel like the more reasonable people getting shouted down made room for the toxic elements that are in the manosphere now. Because, like, when you're shouted down, you are not you're not given space to be like, okay, I see you, can you see me in this? And it's messy, but it's not. So anyway, it's each side has their perspective. Ultimately, it leads to messes when you can't give somebody else the floor and listen to them.
In relation to my own life, right? I got what I needed and now I'm going to move on. But one of the reasons I did bubble hop into this bubble was because so many people who are either, people that I know or people that I work with, whatever, they know these bubbles. People know who Fresh and Fit are in this world. Outside of this world, absolutely not. With that said, just because somebody doesn't know that you exist doesn't mean you're not living.
And see, that's how I got into it. Like, when my friends went through a divorce, he was older. He was like, feeling down. I noticed it. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, blah, 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 blah. Got a divorce. She took it all. And this was happening while I was at college. Well, I was going to college courses. Or using a faster encoder. Huh, the encoder is overloaded. What is my. What is. Okay. Anyway. Um. There was. There. Okay, so. What was I saying? Anyway, I was like. I gave him a little bit of advice, like, maybe you should go see a therapist. Maybe you should, like, take account of what's going on in your life. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you were just financially like hit in the mouth because she cheated, you found out, and she rocked divorce rather than handling the accountability. And not only that, she got her narrative out there first. He was one of those guys that was working his ass off, so he didn't have a lot of time to spend with her, and she felt she wanted him to be a Superman, and that's wrong to expect out of anybody to be superhuman. Okay, it's just wrong because to expect people to be able to do everything all at once, that's just that's not cool. So anyway, he's like, okay, and then like after a couple of months, I mean, me and him, we talked about other shit in between times like that. We like hung out and all that shit. But after a couple of months, he's like, I was going on these forums looking at this, and there's a lot of like dudes on there that are just like hating on the situation. Da 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 da. A lot of them are like hating the world, and they might wind up like blowing something up, right? And I'm like, well, where's this at? So I started going on there and just giving basic advice like how to deal with divorce. Anyway, they were like, oh, that's cool, blah, blah, blah. It was under a different name, by the way. Who is, what is, what is this going on? Okay, so what is the problem? Let me look at the supply chain. Okay, we need more coal because they're taking all of it in that factory. Okay, so let's see how many people we've got in that. Okay, we found the weakest link. Goodbye, sir. Goodbye. Goodbye. Have a good what wait, what blacksmith isn't working now? Oh, you're about to get on my nerves. You are about to get on my production chain. Okay, let's see. How is it still coal? Because coal is only feeding. How is that a thing? Okay, that's still a thing, and we've leveled coal up all the way. Like, as far as I'm willing to put money into it. So, we've got to. Well, I haven't put money into it. I put, smoke in the eye. I put game currency, like in-game currency, in-game point things that you can earn from like watching ads into it and completing quests. Anyway, what was I? Oh yeah, so I just started giving basic advice. It was under a different pseudonym, and I got invested in some of these guys' stories and like tried to help them. And this was before like Reddit. It was a lot of news group stuff and web forum stuff. It was back in the era of scuff internet. Like people were doing their own home pages with the animated fire gifs and all this stupid shit. It was before Web 2.0, which is the advent of social media. But a bulletin board is like Reddit, a forum, a bulletin board, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, people were using live journal and stuff back then. It was so Yeah. Anyway, so I was like helping, but yeah. Then I guess somehow there was crossover into tips on how to date women, right? Because a lot of the recovery was you got to get back out there, dude. Like, not all women are like that ravenous harpy. So, um, they found, of course, people would Yahoo up. Yes, Yahoo was the search engine before Google. And they would go on Yahoo and they would search how to date a woman, how to pick up a woman, or whatever. And that's how the pickup artist community integrated with the, um, I guess you could call the initial stages of the manosphere. That's how it was formed. The men's support group part. Because here's the thing, psycho support group wise, you see this in Fight Club, which is an awesome movie, and there's been a couple of takes on it. We might do a Fight Club stream. It is so based. We might do a Fight Club stream. And there are a couple of theories about Fight Club, or a couple of ways it can be um, dismantled and look at. We've, I mean, we're not going to watch Fight Club on stream. We'll watch clips. Um, anyway, you have in Fight Club, there's a lot of support groups, and that's how Jack is dealing with testicular cancer. That's what I call him, Jack. I am Jack's impotent rage, or whatever. Um, that's how he's dealing with testicular cancer, or whatever. And the thing is even though they show support groups, there really weren't a lot of them for the majority of America. Like, you had support groups in the major cities like New York City, San Francisco, Seattle. The more progressive areas, there were support groups, but most people turned to the church as a support structure, like, because that's where a lot of support groups would be. AA meetings were held in community centers, probably still are. Um, addiction meetings, um, just men's issue groups, women's issue groups, feminine group. I mean, you had the whole gambit, and they were held in churches on the off days, and um, community centers, and it's only been with. I mean, like, you had NA and AA everywhere. That's a given. But a lot of these places didn't have their own built out infrastructure. So, that being said, like, a lot of the guys who got taken, had a ride taken off, like, hardworking, nose to the grindstone, 40 hours a week minimum, and a hard ass job, 80 hours a week at the, like, there are some people who were working 100-hour weeks to make ends meet because, like, they had that traditional role. They were given every key to success in life. Um, born to a at least middle class family, if not a lower upper class family, and all they knew was dad worked, okay, and mom took care of us. And that's what their role model was. That's what their model was. And that's a throwback because a lot of people back then were still and this is only 20 years ago. People were still doing the traditional marriage thing 20 years ago. But the world was changing and it was changing quick. And it's like it didn't happen overnight, but as it continued on, momentum grew because of the internet. Like before the internet, your friend group was the people you could get to. Your choices for marrying were the people you could get to um, by car in a reasonable amount of time. Um, of course, they had like alternative means, like there were prison pen pals, I guess, and you would just write a letter to somebody, and that's how a lot of prison marriages happen, from my understanding. Um, my history with that is my family has been in law enforcement and the military, and there are some people who were crooks in the family. But at the end of the day, it's like um, the paradigm shifted in less than 5 years, as well as like okay, so in the beginning of it, okay, before there's the before time and the after time, okay? So it's always been said that a man has to support his family, and a man who can support his family with very little struggle has a better chance to get someone he wants to mate with. I mean, get a partner. Okay, so when you look at it like through that lens, okay, when you suddenly have this whole new industry pop up almost overnight, and there's the chance for you. This is before the dot com bubble busted. Um, you can become a millionaire overnight, like literally overnight. You can have some scuffed ass product that you polish up, and then all of a sudden you release it, and there's like uh, Microsoft knocking at your door, or McAfee, or um, Intuit with Quick. I mean, it was ridiculous. There's people who, I mean, I was at one point one of these people that like you get somebody wants a product, you custom make it for them, and they'll literally drop 6 figures on you, and you spent like 2 or 3 months time programming it. So they drop like 6 figures on you because they know inevitably that when you're of course selling all the rights to it and everything, right? You're giving them the source code and whatnot, but you're packaging up in that 6 figure deal. You are most likely giving them the keys to millions of dollars that you yourself couldn't get access to make it into millions. So you drop like you're like, yeah, I'll take 6 figures. And when you're a kid, when you're young, and you're like, that's your first big hit, you burn that shit. It's really easy. It's really easy to burn through 6 figures of money in a year. especially if you never had access to that money before and you have no idea how you should invest it. You don't even think of investing. You're getting a car, you're looking at potentially buying a house. It's almost like you won a lottery, you're hood rich. And the whole deal is that in and of itself is something that people aren't really taught. Like, no one in my family thought that any of us would be able to have that much money drop into our lap at once. So that wasn't a vector of education for any of the members of our family. Midwest, we weren't really scuffed. We were like, I grew up in the hood, but the majority of my family had worked their way into lower to middle class. But they weren't that way. They didn't get that way like until they were later in life, and they got lucky and they landed some golden parachute type jobs. And a golden parachute job is like where everything is guaranteed to you as long as you work your ass off. But the whole deal with it is that, so I'm this kid getting a six figure and I don't know what I'm doing with it. So I fucking partied with it for the most part. Yeah, like I got a car, I got a nice place to live. Um, I totally went out and, but a lot of it just disappeared into partying before one of my friends at my main gig was like, "What are you doing with that money?" He had been taught how to work money properly, and I'm like, he's like, "You've been throwing a lot of parties, blah blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You need to stop that. You need to invest it. You need to IRA it. You need to do all." And I'm like, "Okay." So I get another big contract, and I take what was left, and I take the money that I got, and I just sock it away, and I haven't touched it. I don't touch it. I contribute like small amounts to it to keep it active. But yeah, like, anyway, the whole I forgot what the whole point was in that. I sort of wandered in but oh yeah, we're talking about we were talking about the start of, yeah, there's a lot of guys who were victims of change and still are. But let's keep going.
living a thriving, exciting, interesting existence, right? So if you're a manosphere guy and you feel like this is where you thrive, I can see that for you. Much like feminist bubbles, it's not going to be good for all people, but for some people, people really thrive in those bubbles. So to be honest with you, after reading this book, I realized, wow, I think my original assessment was correct, that manosphere bubbles and feminist bubbles are quite literally just the opposites of each other, but they preach very similar things using
There's sort of two sides of the coin, but she's conflating manosphere with red pill. Myron is